Okay, today I saw this on my feed and I was like, I like Skap. I watch a lot of his videos. I know of Johnny. I watched a few of his videos as well. And I was like, hey, what the hell? May as well react to it. Obviously, credit originally to Johnny and Skap for the content. Link to the video will be in the bio. If you want to react to that with my stupid commentary, please do. No disrespect on any of these guys' takes or anything. Probably just maybe I disagree with stuff. I think I've seen Skap's top 10 all time before. Um, but I don't fully remember it. All I remember is that he left 10 up to be debatable, I think. But yeah, let's see. I might only react to like half because I feel like they might kind of just talk about a bunch of random stuff midway through. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see.
Civil and friendly discussions there is to be had in the NBA. Your top 10 greatest players of all time. I tell you what, man, I think my top 10 list, I don't think anybody liked it. Everybody hated it. But I will tell you, it is 100% my honest.
Actually, hold on. I'm gonna skip past the original, and I'm gonna go through it as they go through it because then I'm not really reacting, am I?
I will say it was nice because I had Tim Duncan, I think, 9. It was nice to see somebody who loves and appreciates Kobe so much also rate Tim Duncan so high because it is kind of like you're one way or
Okay, maybe I should just. I think I'm just gonna look at the actual list as well.
Skap. Surprise! I have this list, and a lot of times they
All right,
change.
this is Johnny's list. I'm telling you, it's Steph. I like that personally. I have him at 9. Um, I think Steph definitely. We're coming to the part of his career where a lot of people are truly giving him the credit rather than being a hater. I'm not a Steph fan, by the way. I'm just like that sounds like I'm being edgy, but I feel like we're at the stage where a lot of people are finally being like, Steph Curry is a legend. Um, I have him at 9. I could see him definitely being.
You work
Whoa,
hard
what
to
the hell
keep
did I
your
do?
teeth white. But
Um,
wait, is your toothpaste working
I
just
could
as
see him
hard?
definitely being better. What the fuck? Oh, that was what I was watching
So
before.
got Scap Attack back.
Um,
On things in and a lot of times they
I could
change.
definitely see Steph being higher, or well, no, I could definitely see him being well, yeah, higher. Just because his off-ball ability and his gravity, which everyone talks about, obviously, but he helps his team in such a unique way. I can definitely see him being higher. I'm higher on Tim Duncan. I've seen these guys are Kobe fans. Um, I'm much higher on Tim, but I do understand like the argument. He didn't peak as high as some guys, but personally, he's just such a winner. And there's a reason he won. He wasn't, he was put in a good situation as well, but he is the reason why the Spurs were the dynasty. And he may be boring to some people, not for me. I love, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get on to him later. But I love another certain very skilled center. I love centers, I love that kind of archetype. Yeah, I personally find 9 a bit low just because how complete his resume is. Um, but hey, I can't understand. 8, Wilt. I feel I don't like putting Wilt in the top 10. I have him at 13. I just feel like he wasn't a winner. And not just because he was, a losing record in finals. That's lazy. I'm just saying he cared more about his own stats than winning, in my opinion. Rather, whether that was the coach telling him go out and score as much as you can, or I'm led to believe it was otherwise, and that he was partly self obsessed about his own stats. I mean, we all know how shamelessly he. I mean, if you go look at the 100-point game, obviously it's still legendary. But if you think Bam was fraudulent, look at Wilt's game. He most certainly wanted that 100 points. I mean, his team played for it. His team were literally missing free throws, so he could possibly get the rebound. He's just a massive. Not, I'm not saying like, oh, he's a stat batter. I don't like him. I'm just saying he didn't do what team needed, and that's not being a winning player, in my opinion. I think the ultimate goal for every player is to do the best thing possible for the team at all times. And I feel like Wilt didn't do that. I feel like he cared more about his own career rather than the team. And you can have an ego with that mentality. It's just that naturally, if your only goal is to help the team and do the best thing for the team every single play, you're going to be the greatest player of all time because you're helping your team the most. So it's not necessarily selfish to do that. But Wilt, I personally think he was slightly selfish, and that's why he couldn't beat Bill. The playoff didn't translate, all that kind of crap. I'm just not as high on Wilt. I have him at 13, and I don't want him in my top 10. I don't think he's in the top 10. Kareem 7, low. He's just so complete. I mean, longevity, all-time peak, maybe not as high as some guys here. All-time peak. He won 2 different teams. He won. I mean, like like. There's not many arguments against Kareem. Braun 6, low. I personally have him at 2. Um, I don't really. I feel like LeBron being any lower than 5 is just wrong in my opinion, and that's being a bit nice in my opinion. I just think LeBron. I know a lot of people are like, oh, 4-6, losing record. Oh, you had to run the super teams. I agree, but that doesn't take away the fact of how insane of an actual player he is, and that he did win 4 championships, maybe in a weaker East, and one was in the bubble. But then, as I said, maybe you look at them and then you go, okay, he's 5. But like, how harshly can you truly insult LeBron for losing in '07, where getting to the final in the first place was an achievement, or losing in 2018, where he has literally arguably one of the greatest playoff runs ever to get to the final, maybe in a weaker Eastern Conference, still did it though. Crazy 34, 9 and 9, steal a block a game on 50, like 5 efficiency. He makes it to the final and then he faces the greatest team of all time, and no shit he loses. Can you really like how much are we gonna harp on about that? Only really blemish I would say is 2011. That one, complete embarrassment, horrible. That's the blunder on his career. Um, but yeah, I 6 is really low, but I'm sure there's a reason why. For 5 Bill. Personally, I have him at 7. I give a bit of air tax. I just think he's not as good a player. But I like literally, I have him at 7, but I see him as a case for the GOAT. I just give a bit of air tax and the fact that he was literally, it literally the game was the game was funneled for him to be the best player ever. Like when all the team wants to do is get to the rim, and then you have a guy who's the best at guarding the rim ever. Yeah, but he is a winner player. He does what the team needs. He understands his role, and that's why you have to respect him as much. Um, I just give a bit of air tax, but I do see the reason for one. I do see it. You say, oh well, you put him at um, you talk about the league benefiting him in terms of the rules, but ultimately that doesn't change the fact that he was the most impactful player maybe ever. And I just see I just personally have some bit of air attacks. Like if you put Wembanyama in that time, he's going to be the best player ever. And it's like, well, if you put Gobert in the '60s in Russell's place, he probably doesn't do much worse. Like, and of course that's me trying to like ignore the whole players are like better now no matter what because advancements and stuff. I'm just saying if you take the skill set of those players and you put them back, not like you actually take current day Gobert and you put him in the '60s because that'd be unfair. I mean, if you take like Gobert from the point he was born, change that point to the '60s, and then put him in the '60s with all the technology the other people in the '60s had, and he was raised in that environment, I think he'd be like slightly worse than Bill Russell. And I'm not insulting Gobert there. He's like arguably top 10 defender all time. I'm just saying in that era, massively benefited him. I just don't like. Is Bill Russell better than LeBron James if you're taking like relative to the own training, the whole training, nutrition, all these advancements? Is Bill Russell really better at basketball than LeBron James relative to each player's era? Is he? And I get maybe I'm undervaluing defense there, and defense was more viable in the '60s. I just don't. It's just not for me. I just don't fully see it. But then again, if you have him at one, I understand. I understand the argument. Um, Bill at five. I just talked about him. Kobe at four. Way too high for me. Um, Obviously, these two guys are Kobe fans, so I don't fully, I just don't. I don't think Kobe is that high. Um, the max I'd go for Kobe, maybe six, maybe. I feel like they're just massively um, overvaluing his clutch shot making, or not clutch. Sorry, his tough shot making, and I just don't. I feel like they're overvaluing how overstating how bad his teams were in '09 and 10 and after Shaq. And like he did have Shaq. I'm pretty sure Skap has argued before that Kobe was arguably, on level with Shaq to a degree in that run, or like just as important. I just disagree. Like it was a clear 1A, 1B in my opinion, or clear 1 and 2 in my opinion. Um, but then he did it after Shaq, which means that's why he's in these conversations because he proved he could do it after. But I mean, you also notice there's no Shaq here, so it's like, what are we doing? How is Shaq not top 10? Wilt over Shaq. What are we doing? Sorry, I have Shaq I have Shaq at four, by the way. I could definitely see him as high as three. Um, but yeah, I feel like he's just understating how how it really was Shaq's team in the earlier championships, and the later how bad his teams were. And they're also overstating the defense. I think he's slightly overrated as a defender, and given the fact he's also not a big man, that just automatically takes away from your defense. Kobe's amazing, and I don't want to harp onto the efficiency stuff, which a lot of people slander him on. He was slightly inefficient sometimes. Again, that's because of the burden he has on him. It was a very slow era in terms of offense and stuff, but um, I just don't see the argument for him being above a Bill. Well, no, I see the argument. I just massively disagree. Above LeBron, I just massively, unless we're really harping on to LeBron about being a team jumping loser, unless we're really harping on about that, and you're like Mamba mentality, Kobe is greater than LeBron in terms of like greatness, if you get me. Maybe I can understand that. Magic at three is diabolical though. Larry Bird at two is even worse. Jesus Christ. I have Magic at eight. Yeah, I have Magic at eight, and I have Bird at 11. But 8 to 12 for me are very close. So Larry and Magic, I can see the argument for either of them being above the other person I have Magic. Um, Larry Bird at two is just diabolical. He's not better than Kareem in his peak. Kareem did more, was way more longevity. He's not. He's nowhere. He's definitely not better than LeBron. Um, Personally, I think Magic is better, but we're gonna go by Bird here. Tim Duncan did it longer. Didn't maybe you can argue the peak isn't as much, but he did it much longer. He won more, better defense. He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. Um, they both had very good teams, but sorry, no. It's definitely not better than Bill. Um, Again, I was Shaq not on this list. It's just not for me. Like these two are the worst. These are like sticking out like a sore thumb. Larry and Magic. I just don't know how you come to that conclusion. Magic, maybe you're like you look at the accolades, you're like 5 championships, da 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 da, greatest offensive players of all time, makes teammates better, da da da. He's a leader. But like Bird, I just 2 and 3 is way too high. Michael Jordan at 1, I agree. Fair enough.
Players of all time. But that was true every time I've put out this list. And a lot of times they change because I think a lot of times when you're talking about the best of the very best, you're splitting hairs. And sometimes we change our mind. Skap, you had things in your top 10.
Obviously, 10 is a toss up for him. Personally, I disagree with that statement. I feel like if you're gonna have a toss up, it should be 11. I feel like that's kind of just escaping the narrative. I feel like you should have a top 10, a certified top 10. Like that's not that many players. Maybe if you want to do a honorable mentions at 11, fair enough. But like, come on, you can have 10. Again, Wilt, I don't see it with Wilt. I don't see it. Magic at 8, we agree perfectly. Bird at 7, again, I think Magic is better than Bird. I see the argument. Yeah, but I'm not too fussy about it. Bill at 6, I have Bill at 7, so I don't disagree there. And Kima 5, yeah, that's very high for me. I guess he's massively valuing the championship runs, and they are two of the greatest runs ever, to be fair. But I think the regular season consistency for Hakeem, and while the peak is great, I think there are definitely better peaks, and I don't think he upheld that peak for long enough. He did play against Michael Jordan in that era, so you have to give him a bit of leeway there. But I think Hakeem for 5 is high. I guess he's really valuing how bad his teams were. But again, I just think that's a bit too high for me. Yeah. Tim at 4. I have Tim at 5. It's perfectly fine. I have a Kareem at 3. That's fine. Kobe at 2. Again, I've already said it. 2, I just can't agree with. No. There's too many faults in this game. Michael Jordan at 1, obviously.
That people didn't like, some things that people did like. I was surprised how high you had Tim Duncan. Where did you have Tim Duncan ultimately?
He is 4th on my all-time list.
I will say it was nice because I had Tim Duncan, I think 9. It was nice to see somebody who loves and appreciates Kobe so much also rate Tim Duncan so high, because it is kind of like you're one way or the other. You know, it's one guy versus this guy, and you're either you hate on Kobe if you like Tim Duncan. Stylistically, leadership wise, they're totally different, although they both were competing in the same era.
Bro.
You even went a step further and said he's on your Mount Rushmore. Why would you have him on your Mount Rushmore? That's what I want to hear.
Well, Johnny, I'm big. A lot of people around the interwebs know me primarily as a Kobe supporter, a LeBron detractor, and then potentially a Jokic glazer. So it would be, maybe some would be surprised to hear this. I rank two-way players very highly. So yeah. I think that the defensive side of the ball is very important. So to me, when I built my top 10, to me, I put in my top 5 the greatest two-way players in my humble estimation. That also
that does make sense, because if you look at it like this, Skap has Michael Jordan 1, Kobe 2. It only makes sense for him. That just means if other players won, if Tim Duncan could win 5 championships when the second greatest player was there, and if Hakeem could win 2, where granted 1 Michael Jordan was in the league, but won what he was. Maybe I understand that logic.
Now, not the fifth player. We can get into him. But on my Mount Rushmore, they also were elite winners. And except for one of the guys' cases, all three of them won very challenging rings. I think one of the guys that I'm talking about, he's a pure resume guy, which to me, I feel like there's two guys on my list I feel like I need to change. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's the one I'm talking about right now, who I have on my Mount Rushmore, and Wilt Chamberlain, who's in my top 10, but not very high. I think I rank Wilt too low and Kareem too high right now.
Really? I just don't see that. Personally, I just see Kareem as a slightly better Tim Duncan, in my opinion. Slightly. No. I'm thinking of moving Wilt up. I just don't see that. Kareem dominated, man.
Now, and I think I look at the top 10 as a breathing document. It's like the Declaration of Independence. It's not set in stone. It's a living, breathing document.
That's true.
And Kareem, to me, the reason he made my Mount Rushmore is because, one, look, I say two-way players. There are 3 players in NBA history who made at least 10 All-NBA selections and at least 10 All-NBA defensive selections.
Obviously, we know what he's talking about here. I feel like that stat is overhyped, just because a lot of Kobe's selections, they're debatable. And also, again, I feel like going off accolades is really, there's a lot of the time when the best players are getting older and getting on, they get a bit of a nod in the awards. I don't feel like they should be as harped on as much. They matter, but I just think I don't think there should be like any big hitting points unless it's like a crazy fact.
Just 3. That would be Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then Michael Jordan won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, 9 first-team selections, tied for most ever. So those are my two-way player Mount Rushmore guys. Each of them won at least 5 rings. Kareem also, to me, has the best resume ever, not LeBron James. He's been to 10 finals like LeBron, but he won 6. He has 6 league MVPs, more than anybody ever, more than Jordan. So, and then he's top 3 in.
Like I said, Kareem's resume is really undefeated. You could argue LeBron, but again, the losing record does matter. And if you go, when you face really good teams, then again, I mean, if you think about it like this, if he won in 2011, he hasn't even, and it's 5-5, and he's even. It's kind of on him. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think Kareem is the greatest resume ever.
In 3 standard box metrics, that being scoring, rebounds, and blocks. So to me, Kareem, the best overall resume, 6 championships, and an elite two-way player. So that's why those 4 dudes, so elite both ways, all-time great win in terms of the numbers of championships they've won, dynastic winners. And in Jordan, Duncan, and Kobe's case, they won challenging titles to me.
Yeah.
I really like that point he's made there. I also value challenging titles quite a bit. Winning is important, but how you win matters so much. Kevin Durant's 2 titles are not nearly as impressive as some other people's. Or not as valuable, should I say. And that matters. That matters when you're having these conversations, because we're talking about greatness here. And I do like that point. And if you look at this top 5, you really see that point harping through.
So that's my Mount Rushmore, and that's why.
Now, let me ask you to define a Mount Rushmore, because I think there's a couple ways. Like, are you just talking about Mount Rushmore in the sense that those are just the 4 greatest players? Okay, so not like influential or anything, because I think that totally changes everything if you're looking
For
at
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to a great
Holy
tool,
shit.
Virgin Mobile doesn't play around.
Hope we're getting good money from this, Johnny.
Introducing our new SIM plan.
Panel's looking good this year, isn't
Where did you have Bill Russell?
So going down the list, Akeem Olajuwon, pure peak to me. He's got the
Sure.
to me arguably the best peak ever. It's in the
Really?
mix to me.
Best is a bit crazy for me. One of the greatest, 100%, like really, really top. But best, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, Michael Jordan and LeBron definitely peaked higher for me. I mean, again, another dude not even in their top 10, Shaq. I do not know how Shaq is not in their top 10. I just don't see it. And if you're LARPing on about he's not longevity yet, like, frankly, I don't care. Because his dominance is so, outweighs his longevity so hard. Well,
With Jordan, Bird, and Kobe. Like, so Hakeem, Jordan, and Kobe would be like, and Bird, like those would be my best peaks. And Hakeem Olajuwon, Johnny, he is such a complete player. He's top 15 in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks all time.
Right.
I can't say to me, Jokic is the best big offensively. Russell is the best big defensively. And Hakeem is number 2 at both. He's the number 2 offensive big
that's a very well put point. I like that.
and the number 2 defensive big. I can't say confidently, like Kareem won 6 championships to Hakeem's 2, but Kareem had Magic for 5 and Oscar for 1. Like
Right.
Shaq had Kobe for 3 and Wade for 1. Like, what if Hakeem Olajuwon had a replacement level player like Magic Johnson for a
And I do like that point. I agree. I just don't think Hakeem's peak was long enough to justify that. And maybe he could have, but then again, he is going against Jordan. I don't know if he would have, but he definitely did deserve a better cast a lot of years compared to other all-time greats. But I don't see it.
decade. Or a replacement level player like Kobe and then Duncan for 2 years for a
100%.
decade. I can't say confidently Hakeem wouldn't have 5 or 6 or 7 rings. So therefore, I'm not going to hold the fact he only has 2 against him. He slides into my 5 spot. So Hakeem in at 5. Then I've got Bird at 6, Magic at 7, Russell at 8. So though that Russell is at 8, and that's where he slides in behind those top 7. Because Johnny, of his offensive liabilities, or I shouldn't say liability, limitations, he was anywhere between like 3rd through 5th in scoring on many of those playoff runs.
Right.
He played in an era where there was 8 to 14 teams. He had 6 to 8 other Hall of Famers, and he only averaged 15 points per game. So for those reasons, he slides in behind those other guys I mentioned. However, he is the greatest defensive player ever in my estimation, the greatest winner ever, and the greatest leader of a team that won 11 championships in 13 years. So he's got to be on my top 10, and he slides in right there at 8 behind those other 7.
If somebody said that they could make a legitimate argument for Bill Russell being the greatest player of all time, what would you say to that?
Great question. I think while I have Kobe at number 2 on my all-time list, and I think he's the second greatest player ever that has ever existed, I do not think he actually has a claim at GOAT. I think there's 4 players and 4 players only that have a
4.
claim. And if you want to make
Okay. Well, I'm assuming one's Michael, one's Kobe. I mean, if we're going off top 4, I guess it is just Jim and Kareem. bit boring.
The case. I would give no pushback if you made the case properly. Claim, and if you want to make the case for players and for players only that have a claim, and if you want to make the case, I would give no pushback if you made the case properly. Michael Jordan, the greatest peak to me.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest resume.
Yeah.
Will Chamberlain, the most dominant individual specimen. And Bill Russell, the greatest winner. Those are the four claims that GOAT to me, even though they rank in various different levels of my top 10.
Sure. I would really want to add one in there, and that would be my number 2, would be the most flawless player in NBA history as far as his game. I think it's Larry Bird. I ranked Larry Bird 2, and the criticisms were all over the place. He doesn't play longevity enough. I have to be racist. There was all kinds of different things you heard to try to explain why I had Larry Bird 2. Listen, Larry Bird had no weakness. That was a big peak thing. I don't know if I'd rank him 2 again if I did it even today. I don't know, to be honest. But I have always been much higher on Bird than most people. One, the competition Bird went up against in the 1980s versus what Magic went up against, it's not even close.
It's true, but Bird had a very good team as well. You can't discredit that.
What we talk about the 2000s and 2010s Eastern Conference being, there was still some good teams. There was still some great players. I talk about it a lot on this channel. But let's just call a spade a spade. The Western Conference was much weaker at that time because he had to beat Dallas Mavericks with Mark McGuire, Denver Nuggets, who were all offense, no defense, with Lafayette Lever, Alex English, that sort of thing. So Magic's on cruise control. Bird, he's going up against the 76ers with Dr. J, Andrew Choney, Maurice Cheeks, Moses Malone, the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, like all those guys, even some of the teams they don't talk about, Milwaukee Bucks with Sidney Moncrief, Terry Cummings, the only guy in NBA playoff history, by the way, to average more points in a playoff series than Michael Jordan.
100%. But Bird also had a good team. But I get his point. It is harder to win when you're in a harder conference, obviously.
Was Terry Cummings in MJ's rookie year. Bird was great from 3. He had a 5-year stretch in his career from 1984 to 1988 where he had 50, 40, 90 percentages. Over 5 years where he's averaging nearly 30 points per game, by the way, with a bad back. 10 rebounds per game.
Yeah, I mean, does a bad back really matter?
He might be the greatest rebounding small forward in the history of the league. He was going toe-to-toe, averaging 15 a game in the NBA Finals against Moses Malone. So rebounding's great. And then defense, that's one of the biggest misconceptions in NBA history. This idea that Bird was not a great defensive player. 3 all-defense teams, got as high as 3rd overall in the DPOY rankings. He's one of the greatest pickpockets.
He's a good defender. He's not, I don't think he's there to level as many of the people he's around.
In the history of the league. On top of that, he was the leader of the team that was always one of the top 5 teams in the league defensively. So everybody's got a weakness to a certain extent. MJ, not much. Some people say the 3-point shooting, it started that way, but he got much better. LeBron James has the free throws. Shaq has the free throws.
Free throws. Come on, bro. He's really harping on LeBron's free throws. Shaq, I understand, but I mean, 1, Shaq still got his game off. Didn't matter. 2, I mean, LeBron also got his game off. Come on, bro. Free throws. LeBron is the most all-rounded player, in my opinion, ever.
Wilt Chamberlain has the free throws. Kobe, I would say health. Honestly, that was this thing. Everybody's got something.
Efficiency.
But for the years that Bird was there, I think he was the most complete player ever. Tell me what his weakness was as far as basketball skills goes. That's why I have him so high. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't give much pushback. Again, like I said, there's to me the greatest peaks in no particular order to me: Jordan, Bird, Akeem, and Kobe. Like those are to me the best peaks in NBA history. And
I think I'm low on Bird's peak. I think I don't value his defense as much.
like Bird, look, he won 3 straight MVPs. He finished top 2 in 6 straight years, which is tied now with Nikola Jokic and Bill Russell for the most top 2 finishes in league history. And he, like you said, I think it's ridiculous. You don't have to talk overly favorable about the West in the 80s. It was ass. It was LeBron's East, basically. And Magic had Kareem and obviously James Worthy and other elite role players as well to go through that. Whereas the teams you mentioned, plus you didn't mention like the Hawks with Wilkins. Even Jordan was in there. Like, I know he was young and the Bulls were no good, but they had to beat Jordan in the first round, like the one year, and I think they played the second round, maybe the next year. So the East was insane. So for him to navigate like he did, and look, yes, he unfortunately didn't play that long. I think he didn't come in until he was 22, 21, or he got drafted and then didn't play that year. And then he hurt his back relatively early on. So he really only had like a 9-year, 8-9 year
But he came into
run.
the league and instantly
But that 8-9 year run was arguably the best run in NBA history. And his peak was, flawless. So I would not give you much pushback. Like I said, he's 6th on my list. He's above Magic, which many people have Magic above him. And I think you staggered. You had Bird, then Magic 2-3. I have Bird, then Magic at 6-7. So we both agree as well. Even though Magic's the guy that's thought of in the 80s, Bird was clearly the better individual player. And even though he had a great team, he had less of a great team than Magic. And he had a much more difficult conference to navigate.
Yeah. Magic outside of the Tragic Johnson series was like stupid clutch. I mean, obviously you have the 42 points starting at center in his rookie season in place of the injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he's coming out of the gates, achieving some of the most clutch performances in the history of the game. 1987 NBA Finals with a baby hook that he makes, that's the game winner. He averages like 26, 13, and 8 over that 6-game series. So Magic was awesome. Obviously, there are some weaknesses, but again, you're splitting hairs. Magic was never known as a great defensive player. Can't say the same thing with Bird.
Yeah,
he was a capable perimeter shooter. I hate it when people say he was Ben Simmons. He was not Ben Simmons. Magic could make perimeter shots, but he was not a great shooter by any means. Now, as far as Bill Russell, and I'm wearing a Lakers hat, so I hate that 2 of my points of like pushback on you are like Celtics guys. Bill Russell was 11-1 in the NBA Finals. The one loss was where he was injured. He missed several games, okay? And Bob Pettit in the championship clincher ends up scoring 50 points, 19 rebounds. Nobody talks about that guy enough. You mentioned the overwhelming talent. 100% right. He did have more talent overall, more Hall of Famers overall than Wilt. At the same time, him and Wilt went to a Game 7 4 times. And every one of those Game 7s was decided by 4 points or less. So we're just talking about a couple plays here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Russell was 4-0 in those.
Maybe I am.
He was 10-0 in Game 7, 10-0 in Game 7s over the course of his NBA career. That's insane. And if Bill Russell was here today, the one thing is, like, it's absolutely true. He was not an elite scorer.
He's a
shot
winner.
44% as a center. But he would tell you the way he plays, he wins.
Yeah.
Makes his teammates better, owns his game defensively, owns his game rebounding the ball. Great passer.
Take notes,
great leader. And so I do think there's an argument for him. And when people, talk about the MJ thing, well, you could talk about MJ having more rings than LeBron. Well, Bill Russell has 11. So what do you have to say about that? Bill Russell has a great case for being the GOAT. That's what I have to say about that. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't mentioned it yet. They might hear now. They haven't mentioned, obviously, there was less teams in the league. And the overall talent was worse as well. So, there's a little bit of due diligence on those rings.
It is. I don't think that...
The 11 back then is not comparable to 11 now.
That's a great
rebuttal
because ultimately the amount of championships you win matters,
probably mention it here,
especially when you play to that level in order to win those. Because it's the same thing with MJ. It wasn't just that he was 6-0 in the finals; it was the way he played to get 6-0.
You don't get 6-0.
The first 3 years where Michael Jordan's three-peating.
6-0 is not luck. 3-0, okay, maybe you got lucky in one of them. 6-0, that's pretty flawless.
I think he's breaking records every single finals.
Yep.
So
He's
anyway, go
reaching
ahead,
new
Skap.
heights
I know
every
you got
time he has
something.
to.
Yeah, no,
That's
and
greatness.
look, I think you have Bill Russell 5 and I have him 8, so we're really splitting, like you said, we're splitting hairs
Yeah.
here.
I'm
It's
trying
like-
to-
I think the top 10 is so. Obviously, I think there's different tiers of the top 10 where you're like, where I mean this, but top 10 is so goddamn just. Yeah, but that and that. And you are really splitting hairs. A lot of debates are you were splitting hairs, to be fair.
fight with you, Skap. Fight with me, damn it.
Well, we can fight on the back end because I heard some things that I certainly disagree on the back end of your top 10.
Ooh,
Okay.
what was it saying? Oh, in the back.
Give
end,
me
it's
something.
top
What
10,
was it? What was it?
Let's see.
Well, hang on, real about Jordan. The one
right.
He
thing
has
I'll
the
say,
10th place.
Jordan was, I think he was top 3 8 times in Defensive Player of the Year and won Defensive Player of the Year once, and he was top. I think he led the league in steals 3 times. I think he's 4th all
If they're going to talk about Michael Jordan, I'm just going to skip it because we all agree that Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
time in steals and top 5 in steals per game. And he was an elite shot blocker as well at his size. Jordan's defense to me was closer to Russell's defense than Russell's offense is to Jordan's offense. Like Jordan is the greatest offensive force as well. So that's where I think, and look,
I do have MJ1. So
so like he had one All-Star and All-Star. Pippen is, yes, he had Pippen, but that's one. Jordan played with one All-Star ever. It was just Pippen. So like, if people want to say, hey, winning is the only thing that matters.
I mean, the whole spiel there, I'm assuming, is mainly why he doesn't think Bill is better than Michael Jordan. Yeah, he's right. Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time.
Matters to me. He was the leader, and he's one of 4 guys that I heard that I disagree with. You don't even have Hakeem. I talked a little about him already. You don't even have him in your top 10. You've got Larry up there at 2 for peak, and you don't have the great Dream in your top 10 at all.
Kareem
Number
the Dream,
11.
baby.
Explain yourself, because I have him at 5, and damn it, I've been considering moving him to my Mount Rushmore.
well, again,
Wow. Oh yeah, he was. You're thinking of dropping Kareem, but not for Duncan. Okay. Really? Hakeem Mount Rushmore. One of the greatest two-way players ever. And yeah, you can argue we didn't have the situation to win more than 2 rings. But I mean, as I've said before, in my personal ranking, you can't just what if your way to being the GOAT. You have to actually have done it. You can't just say, let's say one guy has 0 rings. You can't just be like, and let's say he had the worst roster of all time around him. You can't just be like, wow, he would have been the GOAT if he had, a better team. Obviously, I'm not talking about like some stupid scenario where it's like he has 4 regular dudes who don't play basketball, and then he's averaging like 70, 20, and 50. Well, he wouldn't be getting 50 because they're missing, but obviously, you know what I mean. My main point is that I understand the context argument and that it is very unlucky certain guys didn't have as good rosters. We also have to understand that's also a challenge. That's also a possibility for them to, because then if you do win the ring, it's even more valuable. I don't know.
I'm going to say this again. The gap between 11 and 2, it's not that massive. It sounds massive on a list. I could definitely argue for Hakeem being much higher. And honestly, I might make him much higher next time. Hakeem had a strong peak. He was ridiculously clutch and bested the best centers in the league. Like embarrassed Patrick Ewing, utterly embarrassed David Robinson, and of course bested Shaquille O'Neal as well. Unfortunately, with Hakeem, I think one of the things that does hold him back is there isn't
30
just a
Shaq.
drop off. There's a significant drop off at the tail end
Yeah.
of his career. And I
And
don't
that's what I'm saying. The longevity of the peak and prime, I don't know.
understand why he gets a pass for the Rockets being an old super team
Yeah.
and not winning a championship. First of all, they went to the Western Conference Finals, and it was a John Stockton buzzer beater that sent the Jazz to the finals.
That dentist clean feeling fades the next day because my
Interesting. I do brush my teeth. And every now and then. I know.
God, they might end up making it to the NBA Finals, and now we get an epic Hakeem and Michael Jordan NBA Finals.
Oh,
But I
wow.
don't-
That would have been beautiful. Hakeem and Jordan finals. Jeez, that would have been so cool. It's like you wish a LeBron and Kobe
I
final.
don't understand why he gets a pass for that. When if you look at the NBA at that time, it was the oldest era in NBA history. Everybody was in their mid 30s on the Bulls, on the Jazz, everybody who was making it. So to
Goddamn.
me,
Unk City.
the times where he had the best teams and where he did have superstars, he didn't deliver, and MJ was delivering. Even the Jazz were the teams that were making it to the NBA Finals
Yeah.
over him. The other thing that's with Hakeem, and as I hate to say this, because he's one of the most complete players ever, he's just not as accomplished as some of those other
Yeah.
guys. Now
And that's what I was talking about earlier. I was like, yeah, but you can't just what if. Like, Kobe did it. Maybe in better circumstances, but he did it. Like, you can't just what if.
hypothetical, his career and say give him better
Like,
players
5
and
rings
all
is
that
5
sort of thing.
rings.
But if he didn't have it and if he didn't do it, that's like the people who try to put LeBron ahead of MJ, where, well, if I did it in this scenario, if we change this up, suddenly he'd have twice as many championships. You know what I'm saying? It's still at the end of the day, the top 10 greatest players of all time. And Hakeem has 2.
Yeah, I guess you are, to a degree, you manufacture your own legacy, not your surroundings.
Okay, 2 in the grand total of his career. And I think that works against him as well.
And so does Wilt only have 2. But Wilt.
I had Wilt a lot lower too. I dropped
Same.
him down on top of the fact that, listen, there was one time where I made a list and
Same.
him down on
I
top
was
of
just
the
checking the
fact
chat.
that,
I didn't know if you
listen, there was
changed it
one
yet.
time where I made a list and I regret ranking him that high. I had him as high as number 2. Again, I
Jesus,
think
what are
that
we
you
doing?
can.
I'm such a Will hater, bro. I mean, again, I'm 13, and I personally don't think he's top 10. I just don't think he's a winner. I really don't think he's a team player, and I think if you want to be the greatest player of all time, you need to be a team player. You do the best thing for your team at all times. And I just don't think Will was that. And I think it's epitomized by his finals record, his playoff dropping, and the fact that he got completely dominated by another player in his era who played the same position. I just don't see. I just don't see Will being top 10. I really don't. In terms of talent, he definitely should be. He should definitely be top. He should be top. Arguably top 1 on talent, but I feel like Will is like if you made an NBA my career player, put on all the best stats, made him, 8-foot wingspan, 7'5". You gave him everything, and then you put it on the hardest difficulty, but you're actually shit at the game, and you just stat pad, and you don't really know what you're doing, and then you quit halfway through because it's not actually realistic, and you're not doing it right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Like
even know
Wilt
what I'm talking
Chamberlain, the
about
marvel that he is as an athlete, just statistically, like we have normalized 50 points,
there.
25 rebounds. I'm not sure if you've seen now that Basketball Reference has, quote, legitimized a lot of his block shots. They're now
Yes.
valid
Yeah. He's so underrated defensively, by the way.
stats on Basketball Reference, and some of
A lot of
them are
people see like the 50 points per game and all that kind of crap, but like he was a demon on
just
on
stupid.
offense. I mean,
His final
defense.
year of his career, he's averaging 5.6 blocks per game. He
Yeah.
had one game where he got up to 22 blocks. I did the math over the numbers we had. He's averaging like 8 blocks per game.
But again, you have to take into account the talent pool of the era and stuff.
So Wilt is incredible. The thing that holds him back is just the postseason, man.
Yeah.
Right.
I get
There's
that
a reason he
even-
dropped. He's not a winning player. He doesn't play for winning ways, and that's why you drop.
by the drop off, he's still better than the vast majority of NBA
Yes.
history when you look at his numbers and you look at how he played in the postseason. But with that being said, there was a lot of those game sevens that they could have had. And
Mhm.
either he showed up,
Yep.
he didn't show up strong. He even went to a psychologist for his terrible free throw shooting. So
I didn't know that. Yeah, fuck you, Will. I'm a Will hater, bro. Fuck Will. Sorry. I just don't know. I don't rate him. That's how it is,
some of his
boys.
weaknesses got into his head. He would get injured and he'd have knee problems like in the 1969 NBA Finals. And that's when Bill Russell's, and like you said, the best ability is availability. Like that sort of thing matters. And so
True.
Looking to sell your old iPhone? Swappy
No, I'm
may-
not.
Right, lads.
Fucking hate this ad. Oh my god.
I
Again,
don't think I'll
hope you're
ever
making
rank
our money,
Wilt
Johnny.
Chamberlain that
Don't do
high
that.
again. He could be the GOAT if we're talking about the greatest regular season of all time. That's
Yeah.
what made Michael Jordan so special is he was Wilt Chamberlain in the regular season and he was Bill Russell in the playoffs.
I mentioned this in my video. The way Michael Jordan's regular season or playoff numbers translate. Jesus. Michael Jordan is just
You know,
stupid.
and that's why he's got the most complete resume in the history of the league, if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, I think I ranked Wilt Chamberlain 8 this time. So it's not, you're talking about 8 and 11, Skap. It's not like him and Akeem are that far off.
So, and I have Wilt at 9. To your point, so
Okay.
we are aligned on that. I like I said, I've got mainly two-way players and winners at the
Yeah.
top end. So just to recap, I got Jordan, Kobe, Kareem, Duncan, Hakeem. Then I've got Bird and Magic and Russell. Then the most dominant stat producers who, quite frankly, were losers. Like they were, they just are. You know, and whatever all the things you just talked about with Chamberlain are applicable to LeBron James, which is why for me I've got Wilt, who is the best loser in NBA history. To me, the most.
I didn't even mention Skap not having LeBron in his top 10. I know I remember who he had in his debatable top 10 when I watched the video a while ago. Jesus, man. I mean, but come on, Skap. I know you hate him. Come on, man. He's top 10 at least. Jesus Christ. LeBron James not top 10. I mean, come on. Come on.
Dominant individual specimen that we had, but again, failures in the playoffs for whatever reasons, for whatever excuses. Better Boston teams, better player in Russell, yada yada yada. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, he got only 2, and LeBron then slides in at 10 because again, 4 out of 10.
So LeBron is at 10.
And 4 in now 24 years going. Yes, loser. A lot of people push back on me and they're like, oh, 4 championships is a loser. Yes. When you go to 10 and you win only 4 and you've been in the NBA for 24 years, then yes, you're a loser. So, but with that said, his resume is so gaudy and his regular season accomplishments so vast that yes, he does crack into my top 10 at this point, at the tail end of number 10 for me. Johnny, I heard.
There we go. We just top 10.
So I want to ask you about your top 10, though. I heard you say Steph Curry is number 10 on your list. So you've got Stephen Curry in your top 10. Did I hear that right?
Yes. Obviously not a two-way player, but at the same time, I ranked Magic ridiculously high as well. I also banked Bill Russell higher as well. To me, you have to play in the era you're in. You have to be the best to play in the era you're in. Steph Curry is the perfect player for this era. Say what you want about LeBron James. I don't care. I think if you're going to pick one player at his absolute peak to play in this era, to me, it's Steph Curry because he has an impact that's greater than just his talent. Okay. Defenses has to respond to him. He changed the league. He has a gravitational pull for offenses that frees up guys to be ridiculously open. Same way it happened with Kevin Durant, which is why he had the most efficient seasons of his career as soon as he started playing with alongside of Steph Curry. So Steph, to me, he has one of the greatest peaks in the history of the NBA, specifically offensively. He did lead 2016 in steals, but he was never like a lockdown defensive player. But 50, 45, 90, 400 3-pointers in a season at a time where no other team had made, no other player had made a minimum of 300, 73 and 9. And again, I don't think he came back healthy for that run. In 2016, he hyperextended his knee. Yeah, he had the back game, but other than that, he just didn't look the same throughout the postseason. I credit that to just adrenaline and being hyped up coming back, not to mention the Draymond suspension and all the other garbage that went into that.
We don't talk about fucking up a career. Draymond low-key fucked up Steph's career. I won't lie, low-key did. Nah, respect to Draymond. I love Draymond, one of the greatest players defensively of all time. Arguably top 10 defensive player of all time. He'd probably be in my top 10. Yeah. Draymond,
so I don't know. What's your?
But like Draymond with like Tim Duncan's Draymond's on-court ability with Tim Duncan's off-court mentality. Conversations will be had.
Problem with it? You think Steph is like an easy outside of the top 10?
Easy.
Really?
Easy.
With as many championships, as many records, as efficient as he is, I mean, is that?
I mean, we all know Skap hates super teams.
That just bias against the era that we're in now, which I wouldn't even totally mind if that's the case. But like, what's the easy part that keeps him out?
So again, in my top 10, I basically either have elite two-way players or guys that won challenging rings.
Who's your highest player, real quick?
Say it again.
Who's your highest ranked one-way player?
Magic.
And he's 7?
6th.
Okay. All right.
No, 7th. You're right. 7th. Bird is.
Yeah, but I guess Magic's like being a one-way player. It's like that's kind of like he's like one halfway player because he's not bad on defense.
6, Magic 7. Yeah.
All right. Top 6. Yeah, you are consistent. But go ahead. Finish your point.
I mean, look, Curry. Look, say what you. I know we've talked a lot about championships. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
You're gonna talk about how hard they won. Because you mentioned it a second ago. I mean, 2022, and they weren't meant to win it in 2015.
Hypotheticals. He's got the rings. You can't take them away from him. The 2 non-Durant runs were extraordinarily easy. He got very lucky in the Western Conference run. In both of those, in the 14-15 run and in the 22 run, he dodged all of the better teams. Everybody had injuries going on in both of those runs. Then he got in.
Yeah, but he still won with teams that weren't favored. I mean, give him a break, Skap. Like as I've said before, you do it once, it's a bit of luck, but you do it twice. No, that's a trend. I just disagree. I get if you want to diminish some of the rings, I get that. But at the same time, it's still his team. He is the reason the team is as good as they are. Obviously, KD is there, Draymond is there, Clay is there, Iguodala is there, all the other role players and stuff are there. But I mean, like. The clockwork was all because of Steph. Like the on and off numbers support that as well.
Into the finals in 14-15. And
I just think if you put Steph on any team, he makes them way better. Like easily, just because of the gravity. I mean, I have Steph at 9, as I said before. So I'm the highest on Steph than these guys. But saying Steph doesn't have a top 10 case is kind of crazy to me. Like. If you're doing that, I'm assuming you're just completely saying the rings he won with the super team are just like completely invalid, and that's just disingenuous in my opinion. It's like with KD. It's like the rings. I don't like them, but it doesn't change the fact that happened. Like as a player, Kevin Durant is fucking amazing. As a player, Stephen Curry is fucking amazing. What is the goal of basketball? At its true core, scoring. I realized halfway through I was saying that Stephen Curry is not the greatest scorer ever, to be fair. But what are the elements of scoring? Uh, Getting to the rim, mid range, post game, shooting. Who's the greatest shooter of all time? No debate at all. Stephen Curry. Give the man some respect. He can handle the ball as well too. He's a good passer. He's an elite offensive engine. He won't and like you want to get off of the points, rebounds, assists, PRA. Steph, there's like some players, there should be a fourth category because you can't measure the gravity, how easier he makes his teammates' lives. Nikola Jokic makes his teammates' lives so much easier with how he plays because he derives so much attention at all times. Like those are unquantifiable things. And we haven't even mentioned Jokic yet. I'm assuming they're going to leave it to the back end. Hopefully, I want to glaze my goat a little more.
Was down 2-1, despite the fact no Kevin Love, no Kyrie Irving. Still, he was trailing 2-1, and then he was trailing 2-1 again in the 2022 run. And Boston just shit themselves. Let's call it what it is. They just
and Michael Jordan was trailing 2-0 against the Knicks in '93 playoffs. I don't care about how it started. I care about how it ended.
But Johnny, look at that run though to get there. In 2022 they played.
I mean, look at OKC versus Spurs this year. Every game changed the narrative. It was like OKC win. Oh, this Spurs team, they're not good enough. They're too young. Spurs win. Oh, this OKC team, the Spurs have found them out. It's over. It's over. Wembanyama is the best player of all time. OKC win. You know what? I think OKC win this series. I think the Spurs are gassed out. I think it's over. Spurs win. Oh my God, this might be the greatest team of all time. Like flip flop, flip flop, flip flop. I'm not saying these guys do it. I'm just saying this is what the modern day media do with all sports discourse. It's so fucking abhorrent. I hate it. I hate how flip flop the modern media is around sports. It's just what's the newest thing that happened at the most recent time. You are only as great as the last 10 minutes you played. Like, the last 10 minutes really are your career at this point, how the media treat it. It's so annoying.
Cole Jokic in the first round, who was MVP.
The GOAT!
With no Jamal Murray at all in that series.
Yeah,
and no Michael Porter Jr. He was missing his two best players in the first round. Then in the second round, they were getting tuned up by the Memphis Grizzlies. And he was getting destroyed by John Morant, and Morant gets hurt. And then the Grizzlies lose the series. And then they play a extremely young, inexperienced, and ill-prepared Dallas Mavericks with like 24-year-old Luka Doncic in the West Finals, only then to get into the Celtics, who were also young, inexperienced, and gag their collective lives away in that finals run.
Come on. We still did it, man.
Like those two championships,
kind of
easy flukish outliers to me.
But saying it's a fluke when it happened twice, like, come on. And I don't know if they're going to mention it, but the Finals MVP, we all know how stupid that was.
And then the two that he got with Durant were too big to fail teams. Like,
yeah, I knew we'd make that point. Again, as I'm saying, you can discredit them to a degree, but still won. Like, because I guarantee you, if they didn't win, then you would hold it against them massively. Like, you have to credit for them winning and credit for them not winning. You have to take into account how good the team is around them, and yes, they are the greatest team of all time, in my opinion. Maybe you can argue with Celtics, to be fair, but just like you can't just fully hold against them. Like, he was the reason the team was as good as it was. Still,
they were maybe the biggest super teams ever. So to me,
although I get what you're saying,
he said the S word.
I think the reason they're so great is because of Steph Curry.
There we go. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny's getting me here. yeah, they're a super team, but they're only a super team because of Steph and Curry.
Like Steph Curry makes the game
Yeah.
easier for everyone else. And the way Steph Curry has played for Team USA,
Yep.
for the teams that weren't expected to do well and are still competitive in the playoffs,
The
he's
fluke
shown
teams.
that it wasn't just Klay Thompson. It wasn't just Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I get it. He's 10, okay? From the strength of schedule, I got 9 guys ahead of him. But when you're talking about that many championships, a guy who changed the game, arguably the most efficient guy in the history of the league, shorter than 6'5", okay? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like 10's too much, personally.
Johnny, I'll just say this, my last piece on Steph versus a current player. At the moment, I have Curry above this guy. By the time his career ends, Jokic will be above Curry on wherever my rankings
I have Jokic at 6, so I'm not
fall.
gonna-
Jokic will be above. Curry had a defensive player of the year perennial candidate in
For sure.
Draymond, who's in the Hall of Fame. He had
So Skap has a fetish for players who play for bad teams. That's what I take from him. He has a fetish for players that play for bad teams, and he likes to put Kobe in that narrative as well, in my opinion.
Klay Thompson, one of the best
I'm only joking. I love you, Skap.
shooters ever, who was also all NBA defense, who's
I
going to
agree
be in the
with
Hall of
him on
Fame.
Jokic.
He had Kevin Durant for 2
I
of
love
them.
Shaq.
Enough said.
Skap. Again,
Nicole-
how was Shaq not that? We haven't even mentioned Shaq outside of him being Kobe's co-star. Come on, Shaq. This is arguably the greatest peak of all time. Come on, guys.
Jokic just had
Not
one
even top
All-Star
10?
ever. In 11 years. One other All-Star, that's it. And
So
Jokic
why are you
to me-
waiting? Is it longevity stats that are going to like get him ahead of Curry? Because I think you're on record saying you don't think the Nuggets are going to win another championship. So what is it later that's going to put Jokic ahead that he doesn't have now?
I think ultimately when it's all said and done, he's probably going to finish. Look, he's probably going to finish top 2 in MVP voting for like 10 straight years. And he probably should have won like 5. When it's
I
all
think he's
said and
on
done.
5 right now,
Right.
legitimately. Yeah.
Oh,
For
Johnny, you're
And
speaking
his all-time
speaking beautiful
Johnny,
sounds.
he's basically going to have Larry Bird offensive numbers, if not better, by the time it's all said and done.
Better.
Like
He's the
Bird was
greatest
what,
offensive player of all
24,
time.
11, and 6 or something like that.
Don't get me started on eras, though. You know Larry Bird would be filthy. The stats he'd be putting up in today's game.
Agreed. But look at the his advanced metrics. Like Michael Jordan was number 1 all time in PER, BPM, and win share per 48 from the second he walked in off the street, basically. He's been number 1 in those things forever. LeBron James, at no stage of his career, could he ever eclipse Michael Jordan in any of those things.
Right.
And Nikola Jokic right now is the all-time career leader in BPM, PER, and win share per 48.
Yeah.
No small, and he
Winning
does it
player.
in the playoffs too. Jordan is like
brother.
number 1 in BPM in the playoffs. Jokic is 2. I think they're 1 and 2 in PER, and in win share per 48, it's like Jordan, Mikan, and Jokic. So it's not like there's a huge drop off for Jokic in the playoffs. Johnny, if there is a case that a guy hasn't had enough help, it's freaking Jokic.
Yeah.
One All-Star
I'm
ever
just trying to
in
figure out
11
how you
years.
turn this into a Steph Curry Jokic debate. I didn't mention Jokic one time. But all right. My question is, where do you have Steph Curry? If 10's too high, where do you rank him?
Look, I have a hodgepodge of guys in my 11 through 12. I got like Dr. J in there, Shaquille
Way too
O'Neal
high.
in there. Through 12. I got like Dr. J in there, Shaquille O'Neal in there.
Sorry, I had to
Can't do
rewind
that,
it.
though, Skap. You got to.
Did he say the forbidden name, Shaq? God forbid he was carried by Kobe.
If you're gonna get on me about 10, you got to put a number on it. Where is
I'd
Steph
say
Curry?
he's 14 on my list.
Gee,
Damn, a guy with 4 rings.
Wilt
14.
above him, really?
All right.
Sorry.
All right. I mean, as far as this competition and everything, and again, you are consistent on it because that's your big, that's all how you always advocate for Kobe. All those 50-win teams that he beat, that Western Conference during that era, that sort of thing. So yeah, I get that. I get that. But at this point, I mean, we could unpack this forever. I want to hear in the comment section what you guys think about these players. Which one of all the names we talked about, of all the opinions that we thought about, which one do you think is the most outlandish? Let us know.
Larry Bird at 2, Shaq not being in top 10 for either of them, Nikola Jokic not being there. Those are my 3 main points. Also, Magic being as high as he is on Johnny's list. Otherwise, to both Michael Jordan the GOAT, LeBron is very low on both our lists, in my opinion. Hakeem, not top 10, in my opinion. See the argument 100%. I think he could definitely get as high as 6. If you really want to validate it, But, yeah, great video by Jonny and Skap. Some of my favorite creators out there. Skap is a fellow Jokic connoisseur, which I'm very grateful for. All credit to them. Link to the video will be in. How am I? Oh, this is alt. Drop a follow. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Cool. Jokic is the greatest player of all time.